Hello, Malicious Special Purposes Committee, lovingly known as MSPC. Hi. So I won't be at any of these meetings. Friday nights are a lucrative bartender night, so here I am making a little video about what I happen to have going on that goes along with this agenda. Canning. I've gotten really into it and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So at work, I got a free turkey instead of holiday pay because I have to work Thanksgiving. Hard eye roll. So I will be doing a little video about making bone broth. If I had in the agenda for my weekly recipes to do something vegetarian, I would have. So somebody whose name rhymes with Schmemily, I'm sorry, I love you anyway, but this is still good information. Wink. Now, so I made this turkey, this free turkey, because we weren't going to have Thanksgiving dinner in our home, so let's get it over with, cook the turkey. I have stuff left over. So what am I doing? Making bone broth in a crock pot. This is step one-ish. So I roasted the bones with onion, garlic, and what all I'm gonna do is put it in the crock pot with really good filtered water, no fluoride, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, peppercorns, and a little bit of Himalayan salt. I'm not gonna overly salt it or season it because I'm gonna use it for recipes later on, which will be seasoned. Oh, and in here I have celery, carrots, and here's just a little tip. When I get bunches of celery or cilantro, parsley, I freeze the stems because I don't really use it in any other recipes, and I throw it into stock so nothing gets wasted, or I give them to the bunnies in the backyard. But those are for now. Okay, so all this is gonna go in the pot. Stay tuned. Okay, so there's just enough water to cover everything. It's not, you don't have to be so specific with the recipe. Except that when it comes to canning, there's two different types, and today with this recipe, we will be doing a pressure canning, which is next level up, a little more technical. And when it comes to any preserving foods, you have to use tried and true recipes. And I think the gauge is if you have a recipe that was written in 1986 or later, or earlier, closer to now, those are good to go. Like I have a canning book that I got from a woman on Craigslist that is like 83. And I don't know if that's such a big deal, but like you don't want to take risks when it comes to the bacteria and, the safety of food. So I do have a woman on YouTube that I follow who is amazing, and I will share that information with you. She's a homesteader, farmer, homeschooling mom she's an American treasure. So I'll share that with you. So all we're gonna do now is cover this and put it on low overnight, like 12 hours to whatever overnight. Just have it do its thing, marinate, take a little bath in the hot tub. Stay tuned. Thanks. Okay, part two. This is the next day. I've already removed all of the vegetables, bones, all the solids, but I still want to strain off any little debris in here. So watch me do that in fast forward. Here we go. Okay, now all that I have left are peppercorns and little bits to discard. Here, what we have is the done bone broth, and it's not too fatty, but I'm going to put it in the freezer for a little bit to try and solidify the fat that's on the top, because you don't want too much of a fatty food in your jars because there's all these other things that could happen. Not a big deal though. So next step. I'll show you what happens. Welcome to intermission. Do you have a rain barrel? See it? If you do, you're gonna want to winterize it, which means shut it off, empty it out, because it'll freeze and expand and bust and you won't be able to use it next year. So what do I do with all that water? I just got this out of my recycling, cleaned it with the free water that fell from the sky, and now it's plant water. So I have a whole bunch of these in my basement to water my plants throughout the winter and the cold months, because plants like natural water better than tap water anyway. So just a little quick tip while we wait for next step of canning broth. Thanks, bye. Okay, before we start assembling our jars, real quick, I want to go over some supplies, things that you're going to need. Awesome grabbers, because they get really hot, obviously. They're just canning tongs. A funnel, wide mouth, because they fit perfectly inside any type of jar. Now, both of these are standard mouths, but they will fit in the standard and the wide. Bands and lids. Do you remember these? Look at these. I got these from the same lady from Craigslist. Do you remember this? How nostalgic is that? Ladle. This is a bubble releaser tool, because you don't want to have bubbles inside, because it just needs air. But for this, since it's all liquid, we don't even need it. But I just want to show you. White vinegar, something to wipe it up with. So I'm going to do 2 sizes today, but don't worry about it. I'm just going to show you the big ones, because this will make either like 1 soup or 1 big soup or 2 small soups. And I'm gonna, whatever's left over, I'm gonna do them in the 8-ounce jars. This is a quart in the 8-ounce, because they're great to have for just making sauces and whatever you're cooking. So I don't have to open a whole large one. And okay, so this is hot. The broth is here. These are also hot. That's important. And this is Sophie's cue to go and fast forward. Okay. Now, for broths, meat broths, you're supposed to have 1-inch headspace. That means the space between the top of the jar and the surface of the liquid. And this also has a measurement, but also this rim means 1 inch on standard jars. So hang on, I gotta add a bit more. Okay, perfect. Before you put your lids on, you are going to want to take a little bit of vinegar and wipe down the tops and the threading, just because you don't want any fat or anything that could possibly damage the seal or spoil on the outside of the jar. Very simple. And then you just take, oh, I have another tool that I forgot about, but it's not necessary. It's this little magnet thing to put it on perfectly. It's not important. Put your lids on. These are they will seal in the process, or the cooling process, and the bands. And you don't put them on crazy tight. You're just finger tight, because you don't need all those details right now. Just because. All right. Now they're ready for the canner. This is a pressure canner. Okay, so it just reached pressure. I'm not gonna bore you with all these details. This is a very not in-depth tutorial. Don't try this at home until you've learned more about it. We are at like sea level-ish, so we have to be at 5 pounds of pressure. Does that make sense? The weighted gauge is on 5. If it's jiggling like that, that means we're at pressure. So now the processing starts, and these only have to process for 25 minutes. And so you'll be seeing the finished product very soon. All my jars. Wish me luck. All right, everyone, broth is done. So I had 2 of these, and I think about 4 this size. So it's properly sealed, nice and tight, and this will be good for a long time. And I just want to show you some other ones that I have on my shelf. And this is cool because I had like a dozen of these. These are pears from my friend's tree. Delicious. Really awesome to have around if you want something sweet and you just don't have dessert in the house. Put a little whipped cream. You got delicious pears. Elderberry syrup. If you know, then you know. Good to have around, especially now. Salsa and apple pie filling. More dessert. I think that this is an excellent lesson in self-governing and how we can return to those beautiful old ways where we were connected to the earth, its bounty, and community. So the goal is to grow more of my own food. In the meantime, I'm just going to learn what I can along the way. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the meeting. Wish I could be there. Bye. Love you all.